Hi class, and welcome to EDUC 517, Educational Psychology and Adolescent Development. I'm your professor, Dr. Nancy Howrunner. My students call me Dr. H. I posted an introductory message on the course site, so you should be sure to view that. You'll learn a little bit about me. This is week 1 overview of the course, and this video will help you understand the policies, procedures, some of the assignments, and more about the course. Everything we're going to be discussing is in the syllabus or on the course site, and what you're seeing here is the first page of the syllabus, which has my contact information, the course description, and the School of Education mission statement. A little bit about contacting me. I'm very good at getting back to students, but the best way to reach me is not by phone, but by the email there in howrunner@mercy.edu. Here's our statement on academic integrity. I'm sure you've seen this in other syllabi. I will tell you I take it seriously. I put many assignments through Safe Assign, and so it's very disheartening when I find a student who has cheated or plagiarized. So please don't let this happen to you, and you'll be fine. If you have a registered accommodation, then with the Office of Accessibility, please send me your documentation. There is a midterm, for example, in this course, and you may be entitled to time and a half, but I do need to get that documentation. Counseling services. Mercy does have a counseling service free of charge to students, and the contact information is listed in the syllabus. This is a completely online class, so it's your responsibility to make sure your computer works well, your Blackboard is up and running. If you do experience technical difficulties, please contact the help desk. I've provided the phone number and the email. There's also a support page. They are very good at helping students, much better than I am with technical difficulties. So 2 pieces of advice: don't wait until the last minute to try to submit your assignment, and contact the help desk if you run into difficulty. This course, like all your other courses, will have a fieldwork component where you'll be going out into the field to observe teachers and apply theory that we learn in this class. You will be, we'll describe this a little bit later, but for now just understand it is 10 hours, 6 hours of which are observation and 4 to prepare your paper. Let's talk about some of the policies in the course. First of all, I have a late policy, and that is most assignments, with a couple of exceptions, may be submitted up to a week late. And I take a 10% point penalty. So if you were going to get 100 on your assignment, 10% of 100 is 10, you would get a 90. After a week, that option goes away. Similarly, you can revise your assignments up to a week after they're graded. We'll talk about that in a moment. The last date to turn in a late paper is December 20th. And there are a couple of exceptions to the late paper policy. One is the fieldwork, because it occurs so late in the course. Another is the extra credit vocabulary assignment. You can't turn that in late, again, because it occurs very late in the course. And also classroom discussions. Students ask me sometimes why I don't allow late classroom discussions or discussion posts. And I say that the discussion post takes the place of our in-person classroom discussion. If this were an in-person class, we would be talking about these things in class. If you come in late when the discussion post is over, it's like coming into a classroom and everyone has left the classroom. There'd be no one there to hear your discussion. So discussion posts may not be submitted late. Many other assignments may. Your papers should all be turned in using Word. They should have a .doc, .docs, or .docx file extension name. Please don't turn your papers in PDF or text format. They must be turned in Word, and they must follow APA format. We'll devote some time to writing papers professionally in week 2 of this course. As I mentioned before, assignments may be revised with a few exceptions, and there is a way to revise them. There's a document posted in this first week that teaches you how to revise assignments. Basically, what you're going to want to do is leave my comments, my grading in place, and highlight your changes. Students tend to want to turn in a clean paper without my comments or grades, but I will return it to you and say, please return the original graded assignments. There are a couple of exceptions to this revision policy. Fieldwork, again, and extra credit vocabulary can't be revised because they are due so late in the course. Also, discussion posts may not be revised. No assignment, again, may be revised or submitted after December 20th. You can review on your own the student learning outcomes for the course. This is a far-reaching course that covers the psychology of teaching, the psychology of motivating students, the psychology of learning. So I'll leave that to you to review those student learning outcomes. There is a required textbook for this course. It's Robert Slavin's Educational Psychology Theory and Practice. Please only buy the 13th edition. Don't buy an earlier edition. You do not have to buy the virtual labs. You may buy it in print or electronically. You may rent it, you may own it, but it must be this textbook. In the syllabus, there is a section called Academic Time on Task. Many students don't realize that for a 3-credit course, you are required to put in 135 hours. That includes all the work that you do with the modules and with your major assignments. And I show you how it's broken out in this table so that it comes up to approximately that. Your grade is based on a total of 100 possible points plus 2 extra credit points. And so it's easy to convert those points into percentages. You can see that 15 points or 15% of your grade comes from the assignments you'll be doing weekly and the modules. We'll talk about that in a minute. 15% or 15 course points come from the discussion board postings. 20% comes from your assignment interview with a psychologist that we'll discuss. 25% from a theory midterm. 25% comes from your fieldwork, which we call in this course theory to observation. On top of that, there is an extra credit vocabulary assignment that adds 2 points overall to your grade. I've posted the grading scale here in the syllabus. You can see that this is a graduate course, so there is no D. If you get below a 70, you will get an F. Let's go through the individual assignments. The purpose of this section of the lecture is not to explain in detail each assignment, because we'll be getting to that later in the course. Instead, it's to give you an overview and a sense of what's coming up in the course. First of all, we said that 15% of your grade would be derived from the module assignments. Every week you're going to work through a series of activities in the weekly learning modules. They could be videos that you have to view, activities that you have to complete, assignments, discussion posts, many different things make up the module assignments. And those will be graded and constitute 15% of your grade. There will be a number of discussion boards. This course is particularly important that we have discussion boards because there are many topics that are engaging and controversial. It's worth 15% of your grade altogether, and they're sprinkled throughout the modular assignments. You won't have a discussion board every week, but you'll have many discussion boards. Remember, they may not be submitted late. The discussion board is comprised of two types of posts. Your response post, which is your answer to the questions, which should be more than a sentence or two for each question. You need to really demonstrate learning. So the discussion boards always come at or near the end of the module. You're not expected to do the discussion board at the very beginning before you've completed any of the other activities. And indeed, if you try to do that, it shows. So post a thoughtful, supported, in-depth discussion response. Then react to two colleagues. These are called your reaction posts. They must go beyond saying good job. Many times students are timid about asking questions of their colleagues or challenging their colleagues. But there are three ways that you can get full credit on a reaction post. One is to ask a question. Did you mean this by that? Or can you explain that a bit more? I think it means. Another is to comment using something from the lecture or the textbook. In our textbook, for example, Slavin says, do you agree with that? A third way is to comment based on your own experiences. And it's okay to disagree respectfully with your colleagues. So for example, you could say, I really appreciate how you said this. However, in my experience, here's what happens. So that's how you would get full credit for discussion posts. Your discussion boards are graded with a rubric that's found in the syllabus. 40% of your discussion post comes from your original response to questions. 40% comes from your two reactions to colleagues, and 20% comes from whether you professionally communicated. Was your post well written, free of grammatical spelling errors? Were you respectful of your colleagues? Let's discuss some of the other assignments in the course. There is an interview with a school psychologist or counselor worth 20% of your grade, and it's divided into two parts. Part 1 is due on October 25th, and Part 2 is due on November 1st. You're going to arrange a 30-minute interview. This can take place through Zoom, phone, or in person, but it has to be with a school psychologist or counselor. It can't be with a teacher. And then you're going to interview that person and write up the results of your interview. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on this assignment now, but there will be a video later in the course explaining exactly how to complete this assignment. For now, you can see the grading rubric in the syllabus. There is a theory midterm on it's due November 15th. That will be a completely, online theory midterm that's worth 25% of your grade. Part 1 will be about, there were actually two parts to the theory midterm. One will be an online and one will be a case study. The course itself is divided into two parts: learning and motivation theory, which we'll do the first part of the course, and the midterm will cover that. And then part 2 will focus more heavily on strategies based on those theories. There is a fieldwork paper. It's called Theory to Practice Observation. It must be in person this semester, and you have to go in and observe a teacher for 6 hours and then discuss in some detail 3 theories that you saw her put into action in the classroom. The grading rubric is here, and again, I don't want to go into too much detail on this because there'll be an extensive video. For now, start thinking about where you might do your field work, but don't do it. You don't know enough about the theories to go in and observe. You won't know what you're looking for. Remember that your fieldwork has to be in your area of certification, and it shouldn't be in a classroom where you're a teaching assistant because you can't observe and teach at the same time. Also remember that you can't use the same fieldwork observation for more than one class. There is an optional vocabulary assignment. If you go to the assignments folder and click through, you'll see a template. In this course there are vocabulary words, and in that template you'll see the vocabulary words. Simply define the words each week, use them intelligently in a sentence, and save the whole file and turn it in at the end of the semester. Don't turn this file in weekly. Turn it in at the end of the semester, and it's worth up to 2 extra credit points on your entire grade. There will likely be additional types of extra credit available through the semester, particularly with attendance at education club events. Remember that the fieldwork may not be submitted late or revised. The vocabulary assignment may not be submitted late or revised. In the syllabus, you'll find a course timetable that tells you each week the date that things are due, the topic of the module, any vocabulary words, and certification focus. So, in other words, if you're spending time on this, does it have a certification test connection? Is it, for example, how to motivate students? And you'll see that in italics in that column. And then any readings and assignments that are due. So you can see you're working through the first module that's due on September 13th. I will always keep the most current version of this syllabus on the course site. Let's spend a few minutes going and looking around the course site. Here you see the beginnings of the Welcome Start Here page. You've probably already found your way to this, but this is a good site to know because it contains a number of important things, including this video and the contact information for me, some information on etiquette, and more. The bulk of the material for the course will be under the Course Material tab. That is where you will find the weekly course modules. You can see that only the module for Module 1 is posted, and it's due September 13th. In the future, you'll see more modules there. I generally like to post them no later than Monday, and so you can get started on it a couple of days early if you want to. All modules are due by Tuesday, so if I post one on Monday, it's due not the next day, but the following Tuesday by midnight. If you open up the module folder, you'll find a number of important things. Don't skip reading this. You'll see, for example, what the module is about and what you're expected to be able to do. What are the outcomes? So in Module 1, you're expected to be able to define educational psychology, and you're expected to be able to reflect on your own journey into teaching. You'll see a suggested timeline for the week. So when to get started when assignments are due. And you'll see the checklist for the module, the tasks that you're expected to do in this module. Then at the bottom, you'll see a blue banner, Learning Activities and Assignments. This is where all the resources that you need to complete the checklist are located. So if you click on that, let's see what that looks like. To the left, you'll see a table of contents, and you'll see each activity is numbered. In this case, Module 1 has 9 activities, so 1 to 9, and you must click through them in order. You can't skip around at the beginning. This is to enforce some idea of it's important to do the activities in a sequential order because they build on each other. So, Module 1, you should get started by reading the Get Started document. Then you should view my Welcome to the Course video, post an introduction, read the syllabus, view this lecture, read the Revising Assignments document, view the About the Course lecture, which you're doing, take the quiz on the course, and finally do your journey into teaching. At the end of each weekly module, you'll see a checklist, and it simply lists those activities again. It's important to do one final thing so that I know that you have looked at the module and done everything, and that is, you see where the big blue arrow is? It's pointing to some words that say Mark Reviewed. When you finish all the module for the week, go back and click on that, and it'll tell me that you took the time to look at the checklist, consider it, and you've done all of those items. So Mark Reviewed is an important final step for you to take. That's it. Any questions, please feel free to email me at nhabrunner@mercy.edu or through the course message system. I look forward to a fantastic semester with each and every one of you.